This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry, is brought to you by Case IH. Coming up on this weekend's broadcast, our weatherman, ag meteorologist Solier, takes a look at the waning days of August here. Hello, everyone. We welcome you to the broadcast. Mr. Pearson is away this weekend. Chad Colby is in the house.
Max, it's always great to be here.
Well, we know you have a great guest coming up in just a few minutes, something farmers will be interested in.
Absolutely, I do. I'll tell you what, Max, have you been paying attention to the fairs this year? It's been nice to follow that along in social media.
We have seen many photographs of folks having fun at the fairs out there, including the Missouri State Fair. Chris Chen, Missouri Director of Agriculture, joins us here this weekend on This Week in Agribusiness. The temperatures were pretty doggone nice for much of the fair, weren't they, Chris?
We've had wonderful temperature. It's been amazing. People are happy. It's always a lot more enjoyable if you're going to be in a crowded area outside if the temperature is nice and there's a nice cool breeze, and that's exactly what we've had at the Missouri State Fair this week.
When that fair goes on at Sedalia, are you there every day?
I am here every single day. I bring most of my staff with me, and we are here to help support the State Fair staff and, more importantly, just be accessible for fair goers in case they need anything.
How was the attendance and how were the livestock numbers?
You know, our attendance has been amazing. We are really happy with the crowds that we've been having. It's above average. And the same goes for our livestock entries. We have a lot of the same families that come back year after year, and it seems like every year they just bring more livestock with them. And so we're about at the same place where we were last year on our numbers, which was amazing. Each year it continues to go up. And, you know, this year we weren't sure what to expect with the economy the way it is in the farm economy. But our farmers and ranchers have prevailed, and they're here, and we're really excited to have them.
In many years, that I-70 corridor can be quite a dividing line for crop conditions in your state, I've noticed in the past. How's it been this year?
Well, this year it is exactly as you said. The lower part of our state, the southern half, has been experiencing a very severe drought. We have counties that were in a D2 and D3 status. We have seen some rains in the last couple of weeks that have helped, but we need a lot more to make sure that we can have some fall pastures for our cattlemen and women down in that southwest corner of the state especially. We started to see that drought actually move above I-70 in the last couple of weeks as well, but we did get some rain this week in a lot of the northern areas, and so we're hoping that brought some relief to the area.
Just to switch gears a little bit, at least once a year here on our broadcast, we talk about farm stresses. We talk about mental health, especially during the month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month. And I understand you folks have a new stress hotline. I've been hoping there would be one nationwide. I don't think we're quite there yet, but you have one in the state, if I'm not mistaken now.
We do. We were really excited. We launched it last week. It's the Agri-Stress Helpline, and we just want farmers and ranchers to know that if they need a place to turn to, they need someone to talk to about the challenges they're facing in their life, that there's help on the other line that understands agriculture. And that's what makes this helpline so much different than the 988 national hotline. The people who are answering these phone calls are trained professionals, but more importantly, they understand agriculture. Some of them live and work on a farm with their spouse every single day, so they understand the challenges that our agriculture community is facing.
Will it be available around the clock 365 days of the year?
It will. Just like farmers and ranchers work 365 days a year, this helpline is available every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we just want people to use it. It doesn't mean that if you aren't feeling good that you don't have to call somebody to talk to. It means that, you know, if you're just a little bit stressed and you don't want to take it out on somebody who you love and you just need someone to vent to, that's what that line is for. It's also if you have a loved one that you noticed is acting a little off, but you're not sure if it's something to worry about or not, that number is there for you as well.
And these are folks who understand the ag industry, who really know what it's like to produce livestock, the concerns of grain producers, all of the burden that comes, and family matters too.
Exactly. They understand what it means when you're worried about a levee breaking. They also understand what it means when you're worried about a big rain coming while you're still trying to harvest. They get those challenges. They understand the pressure. They understand that we are price takers in agriculture, not price makers. And with that comes a lot of added burden. They also understand the impact that 0.5% of an interest rate increase means to your bottom line and to your family's future.
We have a lot of viewers, as it turns out, from St. Joe down toward Cape Girardeau and from Quincy, Hannibal, back down to Joplin. What is that number? We need to share that.
Well, that number is 833-897-2474. And the neat thing about this is that if you don't want to make that phone call, but you prefer to text, you can also send a text to that same number as well.
Give us that number one more time, please.
It's 833-897-2474.
Very good. We'll see you in a few days, by the way, in Boone, Iowa, I would imagine. With the Farm Progress Show looming out there just a little more than a week away, you'll be there?
We are hoping to be there. We're excited. I understand there's going to be about 10 directors, commissioners, or secretaries from the Midwest area that are going to be there. And we're going to have a little meeting while we're there. But more importantly, we're going to look at all the new technology that there is to offer in agriculture today.
We'll count on seeing you, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Chris Chin, Missouri Director of Agriculture. She'll be joining us and thousands of others in Boone coming up on the 30th. This portion of This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Firestone Ag. The Firestone Ag Dealer Network offers you the support, inventory, and resources you need. Visit firestoneag.com to find your local certified dealer. Here this weekend is Dale Dirkholz, Mr. Grain Cycles. Where have you been?
I've been out working in my yard, chopping down trees, doing all sorts of things out there.
It's been a long time since we've sat face to face, it seems like.
It goes back to about, March or maybe February. You and I did a program one time.
And much has happened since then. First of all, let's look at crop conditions. I think there were some people wondering after the USDA has been looking at this if maybe they're overestimating some of the yields, especially in the Western Corn Belt.
Yeah, that's really the point of contention. Everybody coming out of the USDA report themselves. When you look at the range of yields on corn in particular, when you go Western Corn Belt, are they really that good? But right now we don't have a great gauge, neither does USDA, because their August report is purely just a farmer survey, and so it's a farmer telling the USDA what they see out in the field. And so that's going to leave a lot of question marks as we go through the next month to try to figure out what kind of yield potential we have.
So ahead of USDA, this is always the window of opportunity for crop tours. People hop out of cars, go in, actually make field inspections out there. The trade always watches closely because it's that interim period.
And that's important. This coming week, we got one that's going to traverse the heart of the Midwest, all the way from Ohio and get out into Nebraska. But people really need to take note of those data points that we see coming out of the Western Corn Belt in particular, to start looking at things like ear counts and maybe even ear size to try to get some kind of an idea. Was the USDA really overestimating those yields in the Western Corn Belt on the last report, and what kind of impact or information for the September report?
Conversely, could they get a real eyeful of amazing yields when you go into areas of Illinois and Indiana? Some of the fields and growers will say, especially in northern Illinois, wow, it looks pretty good right now.
Around Bloomington, Illinois, it looks pretty good right now, and we've had good rains. We've needed it when we wanted it. And the other thing that people are going to be forgetting about at this point, temperatures have cooled off. And that's really important because you need to be aware at this point. Temperatures get cool, corn in particular. It stretches out that time that the plant has before we start to get into maturity and dent, and you add a little bit of incremental weight to that kernel size itself.
We have seen, though, some downgrading of the condition of the crops. It's not been substantial, but I guess we always do in August of the corn crop. It tends most years to decline a little bit.
On average, you do see crop condition ratings peak out sometime late June, maybe even early July, and they tend to slide a little bit as you go through the latter part of summer, which tends to be a little bit warmer and stuff, and the crop doesn't look quite as good. But along about late August, things start to perk up a little bit on an average year. Now, is this going to be an average year? I don't know, but I think we're going to find at the end, especially when people start looking at some hard data, whether it's from a broad Midwestern tour or it's private estimates that we see come out from the co-ops, et cetera, that the crops probably are going to be starting to bias those people taking condition ratings to starting to lift their attitudes of the crop itself.
Farm Service Agency acreage numbers will be watched, but we don't get any meaningful ones just yet, do we? Don't we have to go into next month?
Normally, we get FSA acreage numbers the afternoon of the USDA crop report on the 12th, but for data entry purposes, I don't know what the hang-up was. They're not going to release that until the 22nd of August. And actually that'll give us an idea, and that's really going to be important. And the big number off of that is going to be what kind of prevent plant acres do they have, especially out there in the Western Corn Belt and even the Northwestern part of the Corn Belt where we had so many planting difficulties this year. So the prevent plant acres is really the key number there. And there's a reasonably good correlation between that August number and where we are in the end.
Stand by. I have more questions for you. Dale Dirkholz. We'll be back with him momentarily. This portion of This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Firestone Ag. Harvey Firestone invented the first pneumatic farm tire, forever changing what it means to farm hard. Visit firestoneag.com to learn more about this history and tire solutions for today. Dale Dirkholz is back. Grain Cycles. On Twitter, it's grain_cycles, right?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to follow your tweets.
If they want to follow me. I've actually even got a graincycles.com reserved, but I've refused to build a website yet because the minute you do that, you have to feed that meter all the time, and that becomes work, and I retired. Forget the work.
I know you don't exclusively zero in on agriculture in your tweets, and I watch them, and that brings home the point about the macroeconomic situation right now. How important is that recession, inflation, to the ag scene?
It's hugely important, you know, and it's really kind of interesting. When you start looking at what has happened here in 2022, I can compare it in a broad sense maybe to where we were in 1980. And the scary part about that is that means we also have to look ahead to the downside of what came in the middle 1980s, potentially in agriculture. And, you know, you really kind of worry about some of these long-term trends. But I think for now, you know, the inflation bloom is faded. And I think we're going to see things go down. I have some cycles that I watch that suggest that, you know, commodity indices themselves are going to be weak into about April, and then we get to see where we're at.
So inflation could be, in fact, easing back as you see it.
At least it's going to moderate. It may
it's
not
still
go
8%
down
above a year ago.
It may not go down much, but I don't think it's really going to collapse either.
Let's talk about the global situation. Hey, Ukraine, they're exporting grain. That's no longer a worry. We were wringing our hands about whether or not they'd be able to serve the world. The ships are moving out to the high seas.
A lot of moving parts going on out there. Yeah, we've moved somewhere between 6 and maybe a dozen ships out of Ukraine into the world pipeline. And a lot of those ships aren't very big either. We have to understand that. But we are moving grain out. I'd seen a number here. They thought maybe in July 3 million ton of grain exports. Normally they would do in prior years 5 to 6 million ton on a month. So we are seeing some uplift in terms of numbers coming out. But when you look at the USDA numbers on the world crop, corn and wheat both, and I think those are important, they shifted a lot of the export flow for corn out of Ukraine into the new crop scenario, even though last year's crop's going to be roughly about 2/3 of what it was prior year. And a lot of the wheat we're going to see coming out of Russia. And we have to remember Russia is going to have a wheat crop that's going to be short of fantastic. I mean, just
interesting.
A huge crop.
Finally, just a few seconds left. Recession, China. China's pretty soft in terms of demand right now, correct?
And I think that's one thing that's weighing on the overall macro situation too, is that Chinese economy is soft. What is that telling us for the world? And I think it's going to relate into softness in our economy here and other places in the world.
We'll watch with interest. Thank you for calling some of these things to our attention. We sure appreciate it.
Good being here.
Dale Dirkholz, Grain Cycles, grain_cycles on Twitter if you care to follow him. Chad Colby's look at agriculture technology comes your way next, brought to you by the IBM Watson Decision Platform. Combining AI with Internet of Things data to help agribusiness increase yields, improve quality, and drive sustainability.
Over the years on our tech segments, we've showed you how you can recondition your tractor to look amazing. On this week's tech segment, with me is John Witter, the founder of T&T Systems. John, talk a little bit about how you got started with your company.
We actually got started in this project by helping a friend at church start his business in the detailing world. He was just a young man looking to get into that arena, and we quickly realized that he needed to be involved in ceramic coating, and just working with those products and realizing that we had a very large gap in the products that we were using in the ag world. So we set out to develop our own suite of products and our own system that was specific for the agricultural market. And this is where we are today.
Well, it's pretty exciting because, you know, this is your product. This isn't something that's relabeled. You developed it. Talk a little bit about what the product does. I think there's a lot of people that see the pretty pictures and want a little bit more details about how it works.
Absolutely. So yes, we develop and manufacture this product here in the United States. We've gone with our Skipper's branded label on this to complete a portfolio of a system. So cleaning, polishing, and protecting. And what the ceramic coating product does for us in the ag world is to seal our paint, and we're stopping and preventing that oxidation process from occurring. So no more faded paint. If there is a lot of fade or oxidation, we have the tools in our system to quickly resolve those issues, make the paint shiny again, and then we can coat it with ceramic, seal the paint. We've added a hard protective layer to it. We've added a lot of gloss and shine that will last for years.
And this is not just for old paint. This is for new paint as well.
That's right. So when we purchase a brand new tractor on our farm, comes in with brush marks and scratches on it, we can quickly polish those out. We can ceramic coat it to prevent those scratches from occurring again and keep the paint looking like new. So every time we bring this in from the field dirty, we wash it, it looks just like it did before going to the field.
And one of the most exciting things we can even say this week is you're going to be at the Farm Progress Show here later this month. Talk a little bit about your plans at this year's Farm Progress Show.
That's right. It's going to be our first time as a vendor, and we're pretty excited about it. And our plan is to just have an experience center. So you're going to be able to come into our booth, look at our foam equipment, use the equipment. We'll have a kid zone set up. We're going to have all of our polishing equipment there. We'll teach you firsthand how to use the equipment, how easy it is to run. And then we're going to have our suite of ceramic coating products, and you'll get to use those hands-on. But most importantly, we'll be doing demos throughout the day, so you'll see exactly, you know, how easy this is. And we can take something that's faded and gray looking, turn it to wet and black, and it's gonna happen right before your eyes. So.
Well, John, I appreciate you coming on. I've used these products myself, and they work great. Stay with us. There's more from This Week in Agribusiness.
Welcome back here to This Week in Agribusiness. Chad, I don't know if you've caught the Farm Next series, but we've had some great inventions focused there.
Max, I love looking at the technology in that series indeed.
Brought to you by Pivot Bio, and we're recapping some of those that were in the television series ahead of the Farm Progress Show coming up in a few days. One of those inventions from a father and son in Nebraska, grain weevil.
When we store grain on the farms, it takes a lot of work to actually maintain that. Think about these grain bins behind me as piggy banks, and they're full of $40,000 $10 bills right now, and you want to take care of those. And that's what our robot does. Grain Weevil is a grain bin safety and management robot that's designed to protect people and their profit, and we do that by controlling risks and controlling costs and controlling the quality of stored grain. Airflow uniformity is the key to a quality grain bin. We can operate while you're filling it up. But it runs on the surface of the grain, and it agitates the grain, and it uses gravity to move the grain. And we prepare that layer so that each layer on top of it allows the maximum airflow. From start to finish, we do all of the best practices that research has shown to maintain quality of the grain. The robot can do those things.
When farmers are loading the bin, some like to level the bin once it's done to get uniform airflow through the grain. And that takes 8 hours of shoveling right now, give or take based on the size of the bin. And our robot can do that completely autonomously and take that job away from the farmer that nobody wants to do.
Grain quality makes a big impact on safety. If the grain starts to go bad, the grain won't flow out, so people often go in with poles and they try to break that up and get it to go, and that'll either collapse on them or someone who's helping them turns on the auger system, and if they turn on the auger system and you're inside, you're buried in like 4 seconds.
Every time I go to an event, I hear stories from family members that either lost someone or someone got hurt, and it really does take a toll. That's where I got my passion, is from hearing those stories and wanting to help people. Using our robot on the farm will keep people out of the bins and keep them safe, and we will save lives with our robot.
Driving the robot today, someone's using the joystick to drive it. When we get ready to release it to the public, you'll open up the phone app and say level bin 2, and then go watch a football game. The robot will take care of all of that itself.
We know for it to be adopted and to keep people out of bins, it has to be easier than picking up a shovel and actually scooping. If we can prove that we can save you 5 cents a bushel on the losses you get when you take it to the elevator, then we can prove that it's helping your margin.
Hundreds of farmers just want to reach out and tell us their stories and help us develop our product because they're ready to adopt it. If they can see that it's going to impact their bottom line or impact their well-being, they're like, bring it on. This technology is not going to replace farmers, but it's going to give the family farms the ability to compete on a global scale. And that's part of why I'm so excited, because if we can give the right tools to the small family farms, they're going to be successful.
That one has been interesting to watch, and it will continue to be. Then there's autonomy. It takes many shapes out there in the field, as the folks from Salem 24/7 prove.
My name is Dave Krogh, and I'm the CEO of Salem 247. Our vision is to bring small, efficient machines to agriculture. On our family farm up near Eagle Grove, Iowa, a lot of our corn was flat on the ground. The agronomist came out and he basically said our problem was soil compaction. A typical tractor pulling, say, a 24-row planter would probably weigh about 32 to 36,000 pounds. The soil compaction is pretty significant under a tractor that big. The yield reduction from soil compaction is probably in the 10 to 20% range, and we think with small equipment we can help farmers increase their yields and make more money. Our prototype is an autonomous planter, so we have a motor on each track powered by a battery. We believe in renewable energy, so we're electric, but we actually charge our batteries with 100% biodiesel. The pressure under our tracks is about 1 pound per square inch. The idea is that the farmer wouldn't give up their big, say, 24-row planter for a 4-row planter. What they would have is 6 4-row planters or 4 6-row planters, so they would have multiple planters in the field working at one time. We're breaking big machines into little machines and increasing yields. We can get the job done in the same amount of time that they're doing today, or if not quicker. We can run 24 hours a day. We can use it for planting, we can use it for spraying, we can use it for side dressings. We can use it for a number of different operations in the field, not just planting. Farmers have told us that we can get in the field a lot quicker for things like post-emerge spraying and side dressing nitrogen. We could get in a field and spray 5 minutes after a heavy rain. That's actually very valuable to a farmer. We've talked to dozens, maybe hundreds of farmers about what we're doing, and we've incorporated a lot of their ideas already into what we're doing. The proof is in the bottom line: higher yields, lower input costs. Farmers are some of the smartest people I know business-wise. If they could see where they could even a 20% yield increase if they address soil compaction, they would pay attention to that. And there is data out there that shows that that's the case. These are all problems that can be addressed with technology and with innovation. If you see robots in the field in 20 years, you won't think twice about it. That's the future.
Breaking big machines into little machines, as he explained it. Salem 24/7. You can see all of these at the website farmnext.com, and prepare to see that exhibit at the Farm Progress Show. There's more coming up here on This Week in Agribusiness. This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry, is brought to you by Case IH. Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. Along with us on the set, our technology guru, Mr. Chad Colby. And you know technology takes many forms.
Absolutely, Max. It's great to see companies investing in new ways to interact with the grower, with a lot of great programs, too.
And at Bayer, it's not just equipment that they're looking at, of course. I was talking about that with Kim Helgen the other day at Bayer Plus. She's the lead there, and I said, you know, the agronomic attention is one thing that's important to you folks, isn't it?
Absolutely. So when we look to launch products, we first look at the need of the farmer. We try to make sure that we identify a product that fits their need on their operation, field by field, and fills out the portfolio and gives them a full solution from planting to harvest.
Bayer has a pretty robust pipeline. We've heard that often. That comment comes up with some degree of regularity. Quite a product offering. Is there something recently that has come to the market to really show that solution focus that Bayer has?
Absolutely. So we've brought to the market a high-end fungicide offering in Delaro Complete, which rounded out our fungicide offering, giving options for our farmers for different diseases on different fields and having a full portfolio there on our fungicides. We're also launching Trivolt, which is a new premium herbicide. We're really excited to have the 3 modes of action in Trivolt, and we have a lot of demo product out in the field right now that has really allowed our customers to see it live on their operations. And we've been able to film and get some good feedback throughout the season that we're excited to showcase this fall.
How does the breadth of Bayer's products help in providing solutions for growers in their fields?
So Bayer really looks at the portfolio as an advantage. Some of our competition has very key products they focus in on. Bayer has a large portfolio allowing us to really differentiate field to field. So not every field and every weed is the same. And it allows us to then target different pre and post combinations, different active ingredients to make sure that as we're looking at every field and every challenge, there's a different take that could be had.
We know that Bayer has a program that brings all of this together for the growers. Can you tell us about Bayer Plus Rewards?
Yes, very fond of the program. So it's going into year 3 of Bayer Plus. And what the program is designed to do is really increase the amount of usage of Bayer products on an operation. Consider, as a farmer, if you would like to think about maybe a post application where you weren't considering it before, or a fungicide application. The program is designed that the more you consider with Bayer that is the right agronomic fit for your operation, the more we will reward you for making that choice with Bayer as on your operation. And so the program then, once you enroll, you're enrolled for life, and it allows you then to pick those and make those agronomic choices, and those rewards stack up on a grower portal. There's also a calculator at mybayerplus.com/calculator where you could visualize those agronomic choices and how those rewards would add up.
So the grower can easily keep track of that.
He sure can, and their retailers are well engaged. So we have our great retail partners with Bayer that are also pretty versed in the program and can help along the way.
We understand, and I think this is interesting because many people don't realize that a lot of folks in the Bayer family really live the life of the farmer as well. You, in fact, are on a farm.
Yes, my husband farms full-time. We do corn and soybeans in central Illinois, and we've also been part of the Bayer Plus program in the last year. So I can speak from both the work and the personal life that Bayer has products that fit operations and can reward you for this.
There is a website, of course, you can check for more information. It's mybayerplus.com. Greg Solier now brings us his farm weather forecast for the week ahead, presented by Pivot BioProven 40. Predictable, productive, weatherproof. Turn to a better nitrogen. Turn to Pivot BioProven 40. Learn more at pivotbio.com. Boy, do we have questions for our weatherman. I know you've been talking to some of your contacts in California. It's been tough in ag there.
Well, they're right in the middle of harvest, Max, and they got temperatures well over 100 degrees. It's not pleasant, that's for sure, and it's causing some damage.
Well, let's find out what's ahead here with Mr. Solier giving us a look at that.
Yeah, 110, 112, central Sacramento Valley, and you move into Washington State and eastern Oregon as well. Some of those temperatures that have exceeded the 100-degree range. These fronts that come on through relatively benign. We may spark a thunderstorm in a spot or two, but the problem is they're dry based. All that high humidity, rich air is farther south than the deeper monsoon setup. So you get a couple of thunderstorms, a few drops of rain, but you set off the lightning and you set off the fires. And there's been a degradation of air quality as well into parts of the Pacific Northwest. And it'll be a parade of these features moving on through. Here's what's left of the hot ridge, kind of weakening somewhat across the northern and central Rockies and in and across the Dakotas as well. So one front zips on by, another one makes the drop to the south and southeast. We reemerge some of the hot weather back across parts of Idaho, the central and northern Great Basin area up past 100 degrees. And again, maybe a stray shower thunderstorm, nothing of real significance, maybe spotty quarter to half-inch moisture where you get something, primarily cascades on westward. Pretty quiet weather picture across the northern and central plain states, areas where temperatures are expected to generally ease somewhat in the short term, but stay hot as we head through the remainder of the summertime season. Yet maybe a stray shower thunderstorm as that front moves in through areas north of Redding and Red Bluff, the Sierra Range, and southward and eastward. This is where the showers and thunderstorms have been playing out. Downpours, flash flooding in some areas of the Four Corners. Very little change. The core of maybe some of the triple-digit heat up across the central Rockies. Note this little tropical low. It's one that came through South Texas, Old Mexico, made the right turn around the hot ridge and is now playing out across sections of Oklahoma and Texas as we move on through the early and middle portions of the week. The hot weather back into the central valleys. The thunderstorm activity, Sierra on eastward. Little change to the maps and charts here for mid to late summertime in the southwest later in the week.
You know, in the central part of the country, it had the feel of fall this week. I made that comment. You stepped out and you thought, doggone it, but this is only August.
Yeah, some temperatures down into the 50s all the way down to almost the Wabash Valley, and we're going to keep an eye. The cold air, I know it's August, but it is materializing way to the north, Hudson Bay, James Bay area. We think this will be the corridor later on into the fall season where the first few shots of cold air move in. And with it, kind of matching up where the storm track for the tropical Atlantic basin plays out with time. In any event, one front moving on through, another cool, crisp air mass in its stead, and the shower activity for the beans, much appreciated over many central areas and eastern areas of the Corn Belt. Note the heat back across areas of the central high plains. Another front on the move. Cooler, drier air with organized moisture for this week, by and large, the Ohio on southward. Into the southern plains we go, and some drenching rain. Flooding, again, it's haves versus have-nots. Too much of a good thing in some spots, not enough in others. And here is that tropical low that came around the Big Bend area and right back into northern Texas. Downpours here had some pretty healthy rains over the past week to 10 days. Southern areas, the humidity is high over the Delta and southeastern states. Little change. Drought easing, not ending, but easing moisture for Oklahoma, southern Kansas, Texas, and points to the east and west. And as well, gentlemen, temperatures down to more realistic levels.
Show us the eastern seaboard and what you see along the east coast this week.
A continuation of those fronts moving on through. Note how the jet stream is fairly strong and deep into the northern and western parts of the Atlantic, kind of limiting tropical moisture and storms for now. That's going to change, but the showers and thunderstorms here on the maps and charts are a great benefit for the eastern and southern Corn Belt and some of the drier areas of the northeast and New England. Back to cooler, drier weather across much of the Corn Belt with rains from the Ohio on southward later on into the week. Southeastern states, here's that tropical low across Texas. Showers and thunderstorms across the Delta on westward. The wet season, and how about those water spouts offshore of the Atlantic and through Florida the past week to 10 days. More thunderstorm activity here, and later in the week, gentlemen, maybe some tropical action in the central and eastern Gulf of Mexico.
Greg Solier is back with his extended farm weather forecast for the country, presented by Pivot Bio Proven 40. Predictable, productive, weatherproof. Turn to a better nitrogen. Turn to Pivot Bio Proven 40. Learn more at pivotbio.com. More than a few farmers have harvest weather on their minds here over the next couple of weeks. I noticed the other day, Chad, the Armstrong boys are in the field along the North Carolina coast. Delbert Jr. and Darren are in the midst of corn harvest already.
You know, Max, and did I hear words of tropical weather?
Yeah, we need to pursue that a little farther with Mr. Solier.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of stuff in the tropical Atlantic, Saharan dust, wind shear, all the stuff that negates a busy tropical pattern in the Gulf of the Atlantic. All those elements are winding down, and we think lighter winds up aloft, pressures are lowering, and let's keep an eye on the eastern Gulf, middle to late parts of the week. Stuff coming off the African coast as well. So more impressive thunderstorm activity, maybe more water spouts off of Florida. Look at the drought easing rain for the southern plains. The beans in the Corn Belt need some moisture, 1/4 to 1/2 inch expected there into the northeast and New England. Widely scattered stuff for the Pacific Northwest. Watch the healthy monsoon, robust season. It continues on into the southwestern states too.
I need to know about the Farm Progress Show forecast. You'll be there. And
Absolutely.
Greg, you'll be there.
Exactly.
So, and many of the exhibits now are air conditioned.
That's right. But you know, we keep an eye on temperatures. It can be pretty tough. But this year, about average, about normal. Average highs this time of the year, Boone, Iowa, about 82, 83 degrees. And that range nice down to the upper 50s to low 60s. So think it should be pretty comfortable considering past years. And the case too across the eastern third of the country, below average temperatures, the warmth, the hot ridge, small but mighty still into the northern Rockies and Pacific Northwest. It is into dry time mode for the western Corn Belt as well, Nebraska, parts of the Corn Belt east of the Mississippi as well. Look at the wet weather plume up and down the eastern seaboard. These systems are going to begin to marry up. Another tropical feature down here. Look at the moisture too for Texas, the Southwest, and too into the Pacific Northwest.
A lot of folks will be trying to get in one last fling Labor Day week. What do you see then?
For temperatures across the country, the heat kind of expands more into the northern plains, southern Canadian prairie, pushing those grains back to maturity, back to below average with clouds and moisture over the eastern states, down south as well. A little heat into the valleys of California, easing a little bit. The monsoon is robust and it continues on into Arizona, New Mexico, additional drought relief, Texas and Oklahoma. More tropical busyness here. The western Atlantic here. Keep an eye on these systems. They're going to merge with the jet stream with time. Moisture as well for the northeast of New England. Below average precip for the northern plains, southern Canadian prairie and westward.
The 13th through the 15th of September, Grand Island is on our travel itinerary for Husker Harvest Days. Share with us your forecast.
And from a temperature standpoint, a little above average, still capable of getting readings well into the 80s to around 90 degrees. Same up towards the Black Hills, the Dakotas. Look at the cool to cold air across eastern Canada and the jet stream pattern. Clouds and moisture across the southern parts of the country. And speaking of moisture, here it is. An active and busy tropical season and pattern is into play up and down the eastern seaboard.
Next on This Week in Agribusiness, it's Max's Tractor Shed, spotlighting another great American tractor.
At Max's Tractor Shed, he brought home another tractor, but this one for Max Wilson wasn't green. Max's Tractor Shed is brought to you by Store-Lock Cabinets. They will be at the Farm Progress Show at Boone, Iowa. They will have cabinets with them. They'll be prepared to answer your questions. See more at storelock.com. Well, many of you know Max Wilson from the Meekum Gone Farmin' broadcast. He brings his expertise to those shows, and of course he knows a lot about green tractors, but this gray one is one that his father had worked on, and Max had the opportunity to buy this tractor. The 88-year-old owner who had this tractor for 50 years decided to sell it. And the owner had kept all of his records, all of the receipts for the work, including the handwritten receipt Max's dad had written out for the carburetor work. And next to that receipt in the collection was the newspaper clipping of Max's dad's obituary from when he passed away last year. Max shared with me that he sure does miss his dad, and he loves the fact that his father had made such an impression on this customer to the point that the Ford tractor owner saw fit to keep the death notice in there with the tractor receipts. A great Ford that Max Wilson owns there in northern Illinois. Well, we're going to be talking to the folks at Big Iron Auctions when we get to the Farm Progress Show, but let's get an update now of what's ahead from Mark Stock.
Well, hello, Max. BigIron.com's got land selling in Nebraska, Iowa, and in Kansas during the next couple weeks. Please go to the Big Iron website to find out all the good quality tracts of real estate that will sell to the highest bidder. We do have an outstanding lineup of equipment selling on August the 24th. Over 2,400 items, 385 Feeders Inc. They're retiring out of Ray, Colorado. They've got late model equipment including a Haybuster 2650 bale processor. They've also got a John Deere 624E wheel loader. The Cindy Mahoney and late Pat Mahoney Estate Auction in Genoa, Nebraska features some restored tractors, including a 1968 John Deere 3020 diesel and a 2015 John Deere 5100E mechanical front tractor with a loader with just over 1,000 hours. The Tipton Ranch in Llewellyn, Nebraska will be selling some good quality farm and ranch equipment as well on August the 24th. And we've also partnered with Sullivan Auctioneers as they will be hosting a special auction for van wall equipment during Farm Progress on Wednesday, August the 31st. Please stop by and visit with the Big Iron and Sullivan representatives during Farm Progress to talk land and talk machinery and classic cars. We have a tremendous lineup of machinery and land selling this fall. Go to BigIron.com and SullivanAuctioneers.com for all the latest information.
Putting FFA on the spotlight this weekend, we go to Minnesota. Kyle Thomas, who has been a state officer in the state of Minnesota. And Kyle, I was interested in hearing about your journey. in FFA. How did you get started?
Yeah, so the unique thing about my FFA experience is that I actually did not come from an agricultural background. Growing up in West Hennepin County in Minnesota, agriculture wasn't exactly a priority for many people around me. But when we started our FFA program in 2013, it was really an opportunity for us to continue to explore more urban ag options. And so I joined in FFA in 7th grade. When our middle school officer team came in and talked about the opportunities that it had. And I was always somebody that liked to try new things. And really from there, it stemmed my passion for all things FFA and agriculture to eventually want to pursue a career in it.
So it really lit your fire then, huh?
Yes, definitely.
How far along in school are you?
Yeah, so currently I am a sophomore at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities studying applied economics and international agriculture. So I'm very excited to enter my sophomore year at the University of Minnesota.
International agriculture. Look into that crystal ball and assess your goals at this point. Where would you like to be in 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah, definitely. So currently with my degree plan, I'm looking to pursue a career in agricultural policy, working with organizations both on the local level and on the international stage to address some of the biggest food issues that we're dealing with in our current situation. So that's really where I see taking my talents and using it to make a positive change in the world.
We've seen some great economists coming out of our land grant colleges over the years who've really put their fingerprints on farm policy for the nation, and it has, in fact, had an effect on the world. I gather you really, really want to make a difference when it comes to feeding the world and doing so as efficiently as possible.
Yes, of course.
Thank you for taking the time to join us, and good luck to you as you pursue your career goals.
Thank you so much.
Kyle Thomas joining us this weekend from Minnesota. Here's a fellow we've seen in the social media over the past several days, the Secretary of Agriculture for the state of Iowa, Mike Naig. And we saw you at cookout competition, certainly in the livestock arena. You've been all over the fairgrounds and really having a good time, but seeing agriculture showcased, I gather.
Max, it's a wonderful way to celebrate Iowa's agriculture heritage, but also I always say it's a wonderful opportunity for people, regardless of where you're from, whether you grew up on a farm or not, that you get a chance to have a meaningful interaction with agriculture. And of course, you get to taste the end result of a lot of what we do in ag by eating your way across the great Iowa State Fair.
It was fun to see the pictures. In fact, I think I saw former Governor and Ambassador Branstad out there, did I not?
You know, you can't keep Governor Branstad away from the fair. He loves it. He certainly did during his time in office, and he's a frequent visitor even now as a former ambassador.
What's your feel for the livestock numbers? Have you checked to see how the entries were this year, and what are you hearing from other state fairs, if anything?
You know, entries in our livestock shows were up this year. In fact, we had historic numbers in our swine show. And the other thing that I'm hearing across the grounds, and as I've talked to judges, I love to visit with the livestock judges, and I love to say, all right, tell me, how are we doing compared to others? And they will consistently say that our quality here in the state of Iowa is just top notch. And so that's been a good thing to see. Of course, I visit as many of our county fairs as I can get to as well. And we had very, very strong numbers, good participation there as well. Can you think of a better way for a young person to learn some very valuable life lessons about working hard and commitment, and then, you know, competing and seeing how you did, than raising livestock and showing at the fair?
My, what a summer you've had in the state of Iowa. Ragbri and Field of Dreams leading up to this. And of course, crop conditions are always closely watched and can really kind of set the tenor for how things go in these other events. Is that kind of a mixed bag this year?
It really is. You know, we've got some parts of the state that look phenomenal, and you know, places that have been consistently getting rain, certainly north central and northeastern, eastern Iowa. Unfortunately, we've had persistent drought along the western border of Iowa, around Sioux City, and as you get up into northwest Iowa. And unfortunately, also over the last 30 days, all across southern Iowa has been consistently dry as well. Now, we've entered into a more active weather pattern just in the last few days. In fact, it's been actually cool temperatures during the Iowa State Fair, and we've been seeing some more widespread rain across the state. So I think we're doing okay as we try to finish off this crop and actually finally catching some rain.
We'll hope for good weather during the show at Boone. You must be excited about the Farm Progress Show returning.
We're always excited to bring the Farm Progress back to Boone and to be able to again, I love to travel across the grounds and be able to see the very latest and greatest. You know, you and I know this, we get to see this every day, but the only thing that's constant in agriculture is change, right? We expect that we're going to see innovation. We expect that we're going to see new technologies, and there's no better place to see that and be able to talk to company leadership than the Farm Progress Show. So we'll be out there for a couple of days. I'm even going to have a few of my colleagues from other states joining us in Iowa as well.
We know you love to meet people. You're a people person. We love to be out there among the folks too, and we look forward to seeing you at the Farm Progress Show at Boone.
It's going to be a great event. Now we'll hope for 3 days of wonderful late August weather.
Mike Naig, Secretary of Agriculture for the state of Iowa.
So Max, are you going to make it to any fairs this year?
You know, I'm below my quota on lemonade shake-ups and pork chops and beef sandwiches. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that.
You know, Max, I think you're just saving it for the Farm Progress Show.
I think you're right. Hey, thanks for being here with us this weekend, young man. We'll see you in Boone.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this weekend's This Week in Agribusiness. We hope you have a safe week. So long, everyone. Closed captioning for This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Kubota. Shape your world. This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Case IH. This Week in Agribusiness is produced by Omax Communications in association with 22 Creative Group. We invite you to visit us online at agbizweek.com.